you're ready.
I'm ready, yes.
Okay. This is something I was pondering for a little while, and friends have asked me about this. Um, the difference between a dependence and an addiction. That's why I tuned into the 12 steps meeting. It seems to me some kind of a difference, depending on how you look at it, between, let's say, I'm dependent on coffee. I get withdrawals if I don't drink it, but I wouldn't call that really an addiction. Like there's some other kind of, I mean, you talk about the process of addiction, but it doesn't apply for something like that. It would have to be an addiction would be where it could be with anything, I suppose, like shopping. Like I'll freak out if I can't shop because I need it for this sense of separation to feel. I assume I'll feel better if I do whatever it is, drink the coffee, do the shopping, take the drug, and I'll get anxiety or, I'm afraid of something or there's something driving it from the sense of separation. But we could be dependent on something, but not really addicted. That's basically the question.
Well, I'm going to put a question before that question. Well, who is it that's dependent and who is it that's addicted? Yeah.
Well, then it comes down to like a physical thing, then basically just
Well,
dealing with the
that's
physical
a
reaction.
dependency. That's a dependency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like heroin. But I'm talking to use this idea of dependency and addiction to ask who it is that's dependent or addictive. That's really the value of the question in a way. Yeah. Especially
To use it for that.
with the platform. Yes, of course, because
Yeah.
uh, everything that comes after us as a self is being given meaning through the self. So addiction is a subjective experience in a way. And in recovery, the patient has to diagnose themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can hear from the greatest professionals, and it doesn't go anywhere. They need to get that they're fucked themselves, and then that's a beginning point. So remember, there are all these solid things of addiction and reliance or dependency or a crutch and all this are preceded by a subjective event. Yeah. So that subjectivity flavors everything that comes after it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're doing something that if someone was doing it the same way, it would be called an addiction, and it's not. Yeah. At the
Right.
where you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the biggest everything, let's say you want to make addiction solid and then dependent or dependency or solid, but they're only as solid as we make them in a sense. Yeah. Because
There you
this
go.
this
Yeah.
is a subjective experience. So
Well,
if
except for the
if
physical
I
part.
do something that gets someone else addicted, it may not get me addicted in a way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why is sometimes in a medical test, the placebo has the same effect or the same results as the medicine? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's worth an 800-page book just to see a placebo, a water tablet or something, can basically supposedly do the same thing as an $800 patented medicine. Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah. And I've noticed that like the same substance on a different time, a different person, a different day can have a totally different effect. And it's like you can never pin down any objective, exact, cause and effect prediction.
No,
It's
no.
always different.
Oh, yes, because if you want to hear it or not, the act of dreaming is what's happening in a way. Yeah. So like the Course in Miracles, lesson 2. And if you ever look at the Course in Miracles, the first 6 lessons add up to the 7th lesson, which is we see only the past. So basically, the second lesson is you and I give everything all the meaning it has. That is a subjective experience.
Yeah, it's a
Obviously.
really powerful
Or
statement.
you could say that is the foundation of the act of dreaming. Yeah. Yeah. So this is why it's so beautiful in the book, without knowing it or knowing it. They said when they were describing it in the preamble or something, that we are 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind or body. Seemingly, one of the definitions I read a long time ago, and I've been using it, I don't think the word has changed, I mean, which was, it appears to be true or false to us. That's a subjective experience. Yeah, it just is. So the dilemma here is the subjective experience is being claimed, and there's been a made-up subject called self. So self seems to be having the experience. Yeah, and when self claims the experience, it interprets it in a self-centered way. Yeah, sorry for the phone. I don't see it now. Yes? So self-centered way. So basically, it's not doing it on purpose, it's the way it's built. It interprets the experience in an extreme subjective manner. Yeah. And it's called self-centeredness. And many of us who have sought relief through drugs and alcohol were driven by this obsession of self. Yeah. We were at the effect of an extreme interpretive version of self that made us very uncomfortable, irritable, and restless. Yeah. And of course, we sought a solution from the problem, the self-centered system. And so it said, well, if you do this, you're going to get some relief. And then it didn't tell you were going to get a prison term or whatever it was that was going to come after, but sounded good, so you did it. And then what happened is the addiction to this subjective interpretation causes a drive to get relief from that, which are actually the expressions of the addictions we speak about here, alcoholism and drug addiction and stuff. Yeah. But those were seen as solutions to the original addiction, which is the head's addiction to self. My first solution to what they call alcoholism was drinking. I got some relief from it when I drank. Yeah, I did. And therefore, it became not enough. So I went to some faster methodology, which was drugs. But basically, I was trying to get out of something. Yeah, this idea of self. Unfortunately, I was captured by a web that I did not see, which is self can't get out of self. I had no idea of that until I got out of self. And I realized the way I got out of self is I'm not in self. This is an idea that I have never inhabited. I've just been obsessed with it or whatever, or the attention and interest has been on it so much, I took it to be me. And I lived a life based on its interpretation. That's what happened. Yeah. It's called in the big book, any life run on self-will hardly be a success. That's a life run on self-interpretation. That's what it is. And we're so lucky in a way. We had a specific interpretive program of self called addiction or alcoholism. And what happened is it was so flamboyantly overplaying its hand. A solution showed up, was AA in 1935. And the commonality of what has defeated us has been revealed. Yeah. And the foreignness of it. So there is a solution, not for self, but relief from self. Yeah. To me, that's the original addiction. And therefore, when we talk about addiction and dependency, it's best to have every once in a while, well, who is it that's addicted or dependent? Because it could be this idea of self. And really, it loves to deflect from itself in any investigation. It always wants to get absorbed in this or that. And it's like Dracula going on vampire hunts. It fucking hides itself completely. Yeah. Oh, I want to get down to the bottom of me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't want to go there. Look at how many people leave AA, usually at the 4th step and the 9th step. Yeah. Why is that? For people who do inventories all day on everyone and on themselves, why is it they find such a difficult thing to do an inventory? Well, I believe because there's a parasitical movement in us that doesn't want you to see your role in things, because you will see its role in things with the right understanding. Yeah, you will. And then hopefully one day you will see that which has defeated you is foreign to you, so you can be free from it. Yeah. You cannot be free as it. Many people in recovery tried to a point where became a living consensus of a statement: self can't get out of self. How do you think they came up with that? They were trying to get out of self as self. That's the only way they arrived at the recognition self can't get out of self, because they were trying to get out of self. Yeah, as self. It's one of the biggest statements in our community. It's like the biggest warning while you're doing this program. This program may be used as self trying to get out of self. Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. And what if self recovers? The recovery is going to be very minimal and going to be on shaky ground. Yeah, it is. You're going to be living under a shadow that it casts. Where it says in AA, you're going to come to a point where the problem will not exist for you anymore. How could that possibly be? Because it never existed as you, to tell you the truth. Yeah. You were just taking yourself to be that which has defeated you. You are not that which has defeated you. Yeah. The head said it was true. It was always true. You are a historical self. That's not true. Yeah. You're not a physical, mental thing that needs a spiritual condition. We are a spiritual condition. Yeah. And the head directs all interest and attention to the physical, mental thing. Yeah. To the point where we're trying to become spiritual as a thing. I mean, that's the hardest homework you're ever going to have. How am I going to become fucking spiritual as a thing? Yeah, how? How are you going to fly like a butterfly when you're 200 pounds? It's not going to happen. Yes. So be clear about what has defeated you, and you'll be clear about a lot of other stuff. Yeah. You can be clear about a lot of other stuff and not clear that on what has defeated you. You can. You can be super clear. You can be an incredible professor of wholes, but you'll find yourself in them a lot. What's the point of that knowledge? Yeah. A lot of people who come back to and want to talk with me, they know why they're fucked, but they're still fucked. What's the point of knowing why you're fucked after the fact? Yeah. It becomes part of the problem. When some people I know, they come and they start telling me all why they went out. It's the problem talking about the problem. They think they're talking from a solution. They're not. They're talking from the problem. Yeah, self-knowledge avails you nothing. Self-knowledge avails you nothing. People try to specifically target the inability to have wisdom concerning the first drink, but you can expand on that and basically see all or any knowledge claimed by self could avail you nothing. Yeah. The one who digs the hole now knows it's a master of holes, but its tendency is to dig holes. Yeah. Being the master of holes hasn't broken that tendency. It keeps digging holes. To me, it's insane. So this is the point of this platform. And we make them up. I don't know why this is happening. It was just some guy from Australia set up these meetings. They've taken their own life. They've taken a life on their own. Yeah. But let's just say the main target of this platform is rooted in an understanding of page 64, the revelation of the exact nature of the wrong, being self, and how it has defeated us through its manifestations. And what keeps allowing it to defeat us through its manifestations is the act of being identified as self. Yeah. So it talks to us through thought system. It directs us through its little mental GPS. And basically, life gets replaced by an interpretation from self-centeredness. Yeah. For a lot of us, that creates an dis-ease and discomfort. And if it stays chronic, you're going to apt to do almost anything. And it will give you a lot of suggestions about what to do. And you'll probably take them. And as soon as you drink, the possibilities are severely limited. And now you've got to go to a meeting or fucking a rehab or, yes? Yeah.
Can I say something about we give everything the meaning it has? I saw that I realized that when I said that to friends, that it would be itself that would be interpreted by the self, like trying to change the meaning or see the right meaning or doing
Yeah.
something right or wrong. So you're right back to square one. In a sense, you have to have an insight or whatever you want to call it, but what that
Well,
really means.
it failing you should be a good enough insight if with the right understanding. Yes. So, because the pitfalls of this recognition are mechanical. They just do the same thing. Yeah. So the idea of self claims whatever it's brought into contact with and says, I'm the one doing it, or I'm the one being done to by it. You could bet your last dollar it's going to continue to do that. It's mechanical. It's not you, it's not choice. And so if you change, it's going to change its choice. It's not. It claims our life and interprets it as the doer of it, the thinker of it, the feeler of it. And it says with the language, it supports an idea that it's the doer of a lot of shit we have nothing to do with, tell you the truth. Yeah. And who would suspect that this is what's going on? Because we're in our own little private Idaho. I don't get snippets of the dialogue in one's head, in your head. I don't. Yeah. So you would expect, being this one piece seemingly, that which is directing you has your best interest at heart, but you come to a rude awakening sooner or later. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. And if you want to know the value system of self, watch what happens if someone's riding a bicycle and they start going off the cliff. They try to save the bicycle instead of them. Yeah. So at that moment, that which is running the show decides the bicycle has a lot more value than you. I used to see it with surfing. You start going into the rocks, you try to save the board. Yeah. And then you're getting whacked. Yes. Aren't you more valuable than the fucking board? Not to the head, you're not. I mean, in these raw moments, it reveals a lot. Yeah. So if you watch someone starting a trip coming out of Starbucks, they try to save the coffee. They do, don't they? They take the fall, but if they didn't drop any of the coffee, they think it was successful. What do you need to read an 800-page book? Just see that. I had it when I was young. I dropped 2 tabs of acid, and we were supposed to go to a Rod Stewart show in Madison Square Garden, living out in Long Island. And I believed, I had been taught that the strongest instinct was self-preservation. Yeah. Yeah. You want to keep living. It's a strong instinct, supposedly. And there I was. And then the head was talking to me and it said, why don't you drop about 8 Secanols? Just eat these pills. I probably would have fucking died. And I heard it this way and I'm going, wait a minute. it's not like it's talking. It's not like it's looking out for me. It looks like it wants to kill me, really, literally. It was a very suspicious moment. I was on the acid, especially. I was like, what? This fucking thing talking to me is going to be the death of me. And it basically was. Yeah. It was just starting then. It was just, zooming it up. Yeah. But I could see that it didn't have my best interest at heart. Yeah. Wow. What a revelation. Then how am I adhered to its interest when they're not my interest? It's the bondage of self. I find myself listening to everything that's in the act of being identified as self. And so I come to the conclusion, everything they're talking about in me is me. And then I've tried to live that way and it just hasn't worked. Yeah. Luckily, I was done before I was dead, and I could come to some incredible conclusions. And one of them was self is not me, not us. It's a foreign installment, let's say, because that was, and what that gave me permission was a possibility I could be free from it. As soon as I saw it wasn't me, because I was seeing everything as that, I had no idea. But when I saw I wasn't that, the possibility of being free from it became available. And so it's been for this happened about in my 7th year of sobriety, so 28 years, yeah. And a lot of problems existed, but it seemed like this problem did not exist in most of my life since then. There were a lot of problems existed, for sure. I mean, in the action figure, all my rear view mirrors and mirrors were broken. So they were like mirrors from one of those fun houses, you know? I saw things much bigger than they were, closer than they were. Yeah, the action figure fucking is broken quite a lot. And so it needed a repair, and you can't go into a garage for 5 years. It has to happen while you're still acting. And this is the way of life of recovery. The way of life of recovery is we get worked on. Yeah. And you can see the work is working is because you start learning you can face life successfully, as it says on page 63. Yeah. Where before I was sure I could not face life successfully. So I tried almost everything not to face life. Seriously. If my right arm was bleeding, I would just look left. Fucking not pay attention to anything. Yeah. So this has been a rude awakening, followed by a lot of undoing for 36 years. But the basis of every moment is the same. We are present and available. We are the moment, actually. Yeah. We call something that's appearing in the moment us, but we really are the moment. We are a spiritual condition. Yeah, so here I am because I didn't see it. I went to a lot of meetings and I'm in a very thriving community. No fucking person was talking about this. Everyone was passing on the same information. Sit down and look at your resentments, your fears, your harms to others. It doesn't say that in the book. It doesn't. I know English. I mean, I grew up with it. You cannot tell me self and us mean the same thing in the same sentence. How could you be the defeated and the defeater? How? It's like the same thing. People think they're the driver, and in the book, it said you're driven. Yeah. What is it? You can't be the driven and the driver at the same time. It just does. Yeah. What is it? Well, I feel like I'm the driver. Exactly. That's part of the being driven. Part of the being driven is you feel like you're the fucking driver. What? Yeah. Does that mean you're the driver? No. It means you're the driven, feeling like you're the driver. It's funny how all of these unique drivers end up at the same 3 parking spaces: institution, jails, and death. I wouldn't say that's a incredible, massive phenomena. I see that as a pattern. There's one driver, self, that drives a lot of us as cars to the same 3 parking spaces, institution, jails, and death. And I bet you everyone that was being driven had a narrative, oh, I'm going to have a great time or whatever, this and that. And they're fucking surprised, unless it becomes a habit, that they ended up in institution, jails, or death. You're not surprised after a few years because you keep going to those same 3 parking spaces. But you're still fucking under the influence of the driven, and you believe you're the driver. Yeah. This is like it's like a hypnotist living with us. It's like a trance-setting parasite. Yeah. And it's probably amazed it's getting away with it. It really is. Because how it treats us so harshly. And every time we meet it, we call it me. It's insane, really. The nature, the resistance to the solution could not be of you. It has to be of a parasite. Yeah. I don't see many yous resisting a cure for a physical disease. I don't. Yeah. If they had a pill that would take away the cancer, man, there would be a huge line. But in this, it's the problem resides in the mind, and the problem is talking as us. Yeah. So it resists the message of recovery. So we say we resist the message of recovery. And I've got the right to fuck myself up. All right, you do. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. This is just observations. I just observed. Yeah. I've been awake for years. Everyone is. And you just observe a lot of shit. And hopefully, if you have a platform, you can report back in and tell you how you see it, because the observation may be valuable. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you the observation of the activity of what we call self, that activity that has defeated us. Let's check it out. And the most important aspect to know about it is it's not you, truly. Most important aspect, it's not you. Never was you. It's never gonna be you. It's not you. If you have that sense of foreignness, the possibility of being free from it will be unleashed, really. Because why we're trying to get out of self as self is because we're living in the act of being identified as self. Yeah. If that can be seen through, the possibility of, hey, I can be free from the bondage of self will become available. It will. And the program of AA, just like it will assist you not to drink today, it will assist you to live free from the bondage of self. It will assist you greatly for that. It'll give you opportunities of service, community, purpose, these things that may be necessary for you as an action figure. It will give us all that. And it will also give us the ability to be free from the bondage of self, to the point where the problem will not exist for you. That's insane. What an incredible solution. Can you imagine if a fucking stain remover, a rug stain remover, could actually prove that stain is not going to exist for that rug if you put it on? That fucking thing would need no advertising. The word of mouth would sell it up through the roof. Yeah. And here we have an incredible blotting agent of addiction that can tattoo your whole life, and it can appear not to exist for you anymore. Fucking unbelievable solution. That's on the highest shelf of solutions. Yeah. Most solutions are sometimes worse than the problem, like fucking pharmaceutical solutions. It's harder to get off what you took to get off of the other drug. It's harder to get off the fucking drug that you took to get off the first drug. That's not a solution to me. And then when you read it, what is it going to do? It's going to mask symptoms. That to me doesn't sound like a solution, does it? I had this cough, and then I looked at something. Is this going to take the cough away? No. Is it going to? No. What's it going to do? It's going to mask the symptoms. I've lived under a lot of masking of the symptoms my whole fucking life. Self is a master of masking the symptoms, making a common symptom that alcoholics and drug addicts all express as unique. That it's you, Paul. Only you think this way. Only you feel this way. Only you did this heinous shit. That's completely masking the symptoms with uniqueness. Yes? I know people 40 years sober, they're still tied to an umbilical cord based on something they did when they were loaded. There's no relief yet for 40 years. I'm losing my voice. Crying fucking on the rooftop. Yeah. If everything was going rosy and everyone was staying sober, I wouldn't say fucking anything. Sometimes I meet people, they have 45 years, but I don't want what they have. What the fuck? Yeah. Don't. I don't want to be talking about fear all fucking day. And it's not even fear. It's the emotion, the instrument of a motive of emotion called fear being played by mental anxiety. Yeah, mental anxiety strumming the instrument of fear all day. And the faith and the thoughts are causing the effect. Yeah, because next week is not today. Next week has no effects today because it's not today. Yes? We can cause next week to have an effect if there's faith in the thoughts about next week. I can be super afraid right now, and there's no apparent threat in this room because I'm obsessed by the thoughts about next week. And that forecaster, which has been fucking bogus most of my life, still demands a great faith in its forecast. You're going to be fucked next week. You're going to be blah, 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 blah. Yeah. You telling me that's fear? That's mental anxiety. Why don't we get our terms correct at least? Yes. Really, a simple, stop calling mental anxiety fear. You're giving it way too much credit. You are. Yeah. Fear is a valid emotion. It's necessary. Probably more so in the past when we were in survival. But many of us are out of survival. We're not, there's not a saber-toothed tiger behind the rock right now. And I have to sharpen my flint quick to get a spear. Fuck, that would be fear. I'm sitting in a fucking air-conditioned cave. The saber-toothed tiger has been extinct for 8,000 years, and I'm fucking terrified of a saber-toothed tiger. That's mental anxiety. Yeah, why not? Why don't you get clear? Get a little clear on it. Yeah. Yeah. Resentment. Have you ever seen a resentment in the wild grow to 25 years old? They die quickly. They can't sustain themselves. But if you domesticate them, if you adopt the resentment, it can become a vendetta that's passed on for 4 generations, like the Clampetts and the fucking McCoys. Jesus Christ, they don't even know why they're so mad at each other. It's been so fucking long ago. The resentment just gets fed and groomed. Yeah, gets the best mental food, interest and attention all day. And then you're almost proud of it. These are my resentments, like it's a showcase, like a dog show. These are my resentments. And then the other person goes, well, look at my resentments. Yeah, give me a fucking break. They're manifestations of self, which self has used to defeat us with. How does it do it? By calling them ours. Yeah. Domesticating the resentment into my resentment. feeding it, providing it water. It grows. I can't believe it's been, this resentment has been growing. You've been feeding it. Why can't you believe it? Yeah. Fear, mental anxiety, harms done to others in the pursuit of what you want. Sounds like selfishness, self-seeking and frightened. Yeah. When I didn't hear your name mentioned at all in those two statements. Selfishness, self-seeking and frightened. It's mentioned self quite a lot. Yeah. 2 out of 2. Where were you mentioned? Was it Paulishness and Pauling and frightening or whatever? No, it was self. It was a clear description of what has defeated us. Why do we keep calling it ours? The self that has defeated us, we think it's an attribute we have. I'm over selfish. I'm absorbed in self. No, you're not. Self is absorbed in self. You're like the witness of it all. Yeah, and you could be witnessing something fucking else. You wouldn't have to watch this show all day. Yeah. Where's the channel? Where's the volume? You're providing the channel and the volume. This is the whole basis of recovery. Its effects root, they're totally pivot on losing interest in self. Read it, page 63. It says, losing interest in self triggers all of these effects. You'll feel a new power flow in, you'll sense the presence of something, consciousness, you'll learn how to face life successfully. It's like a dam that's just ready to burst, and the self is playing the role of the dam. Yeah? When you lose interest in it, that water starts flowing. It does. If self has extreme interest to get that water flowing, it's a bigger dam. What's a dam going to do? It's going to dam up shit. Yes, that's what it does. Yeah. I'm asking the dam to release the water. You're going to be asking quite a lot. Yeah, because a dam is a dam. That's what it does. It blocks water. Self has an agenda. It's not yours. It's trying to preserve itself and survive as a self. It is. Yeah. It thrives on interest and attention, and we give it plenty. Yeah. AA says, if you do what we do in AA, you're going to lose interest in self. Fucking great. Yeah. I couldn't do it on my own. Couldn't do it with praying. Couldn't do it with human power. Couldn't do it with vowing, making a promise. Didn't work. I follow the suggestions. I start losing interest in self. Wow. Incredible. Yeah. And when you see you're not self, you're going to lose more interest in self. Yeah. And you realize the dam had nothing to do with the water. Nothing. Nothing. The dam and the water are not of the same material. Yeah, yeah. These are observations, 36 years, sobriety. I've been awake. I've looked at things. I've seen things. Just like I was awake on 10-day cocaine retreats. If you don't die, that's very valuable because you saw the fucking beast from head to toe. Unfortunately, you kept calling it you, but you saw a lot of it when you were up for 7 to 10 days, fucking out of your mind. Yeah. I didn't die, so that knowledge got recooked, and we're presenting it now. Yeah. Yeah. I've observed it. I've observed a lot of people I meet alcoholism. I don't not meet the people. They have the same script. They're reading from the same fucking script. They start yapping. I know immediately. What's the point? What's the fucking point, really? Yeah. They are very clear about everything that's fucking with them, but they don't see the elephant in the room. Yeah. I've met thousands of people, but most of them were represented by alcoholism. They were. That's who I was talking to. Really, literally. Yeah. And I didn't get bored from the person. I got bored with alcoholism because it's fucking boring. The same shit you were saying was boring to others. Now when others are doing it, you're bored with that. Yeah. You're the only one who likes the smell of your shit. No one else does. It's like fucking obvious. This, you know, and then, just like my nephew, never hear from him unless he needs money. Yeah. All right. Does he go right to the money? No. He plays around a little while. And I go, listen, Frank, let's get right to it. You need some money. It's against my better judgment. I'm sending it to you because you're the son of my older sister, who I love dearly. Yeah, ammo. We don't need a 20-minute phone call. We don't need the whole story. No, I lost my phone. Why did you lose your phone? Well, because you're drunk, basically. Yeah. They kicked me out of my house. Oh, I wonder why. Well, the only requirement to have the apartment was not to drink. You could not fulfill that requirement. So you lose the apartment. The state takes it back. Now you're pissed at the state. They made a deal. You had this one fulfilled requirement was not to drink. You drank. Kicked them out of their state-owned apartment. Knows everything that's wrong at the rehab, but doesn't see his role in things. The rehab did not send out a fucking flyer and invited him to the rehab. I don't imagine. They don't have like a new, like a list that they send to prior addicts and alcoholics. Hey, you think it's time to be in the rehab? No. He went to the rehab. Yeah, they didn't invite him over. Yeah. Have you ever seen these corporate things about rehabs? One of the main things they rely on is recidivism. They're so sure people are going to stay fucked. It's a great investment to invest in rehabs and shit. And it's because of the recidivism. People, yeah, everyone can yap and shit like that, but they, mostly they still keep getting loaded. It's a great business plan. Isn't that insane? Or we've surrendered now and we're just like harm reduction, Let's bring up the white flag and let's just make it, let's keep the forest fire contained. Yeah. I mean, there is a solution. And that part of the solution is the problem will not exist for you anymore. Yeah. That doesn't sound like harm reduction to me. It's almost like the harm extinction, or the level of harm is just sort of like a normal thing. Oh, your dog took a shit on your neighbor's lawn. It's not a 30-year fucking conviction. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't take the last penny my mother had and spend it on cocaine. So yeah, this is what we're here for. The program is sound. The principles are sound. The biggest problem, there's people in it. That's all. There's people taking themselves to be a self. That's where all the problem resides. Yeah. There are so many incredible ideas, but as soon as people get it, get involved, it sucks. There were like incredible utopian communes, as long as there was only 15 people would work. As soon as it goes over 50, it gets fucked up. Why? People. Yeah. AA program is incredibly sound, but there's people in it. That's what happens. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't work. No, it may not work for you, but it does work. Yeah, it does. There is a solution. Yeah. So I'm preaching to the choir, I hope. Anyone want to ask anything or share? Hey, Mia, I'm coming over today. Yes? Make sure the water is there, wherever you are. I think she's here. All right. Anyone have any questions or anything or shares?
See any hands yet, Paul?
Hmm?
See any hands yet?
Oh, great. Well,
Hey, would it be fair to say that first there is no dam?
yes,
Yeah, right.
there is
Speak
no
on
doubt.
that for a minute, man. That's.
Well, that gets into the other stuff, but
Ooh.
yeah. First, there is no self. That would be great, yeah. But usually how we start is there's a self. So it already has the historical card place. So it's not like, hey, I can just, can I, is there, is there another option of not being a self? No. The only option is trying to get out of it. Yeah. Because it makes a historical fact that isn't a fact in its own head. So you believe you are a self, and it seems like the only thing I can do is get out of it. Yeah. And if you were like me, I was unbelievably amazed that I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. That was not a quality I would have liked to have known I had, but that's how it went. I would do anything with a giant consequence hanging over my head. It would not matter, and I would just get loaded. Yeah, and nothing's, honey, come here, Lola. There's a giant. Hey, whatever. Come here, Lola. Come here. Yeah. You didn't hear that, did you? The noise reduction. My dog was just barking at somebody coming by. He was just carrying a machine gun. I think it's based on July 4th. I don't know. I hope so. He just went in the backyard. I don't know what's going on. All right. So where were we? No one asked anything?
Fiona has a question,
Oh,
Paul.
yeah, the dam not being a dam. Yeah. Could you imagine if you started first there is no self, then there's a self, then there's the disappearance of self, and then there's the appearance of self again. Yeah. Now, all along, while it was disappeared and appeared, you knew there was no self. Wouldn't that assure you of a constant sense of contentment and satisfaction? But in our little thing, it starts with first there is a self, and then we're hoping there won't be a self, and then it constantly keeps reappearing as a self, which super frustrates us because the starting point is there is a self. If the real starting point was there is no self, there would be freedom available when there's a self appearing and when the self is disappearing. Yeah. It wouldn't be so bone crushing when you felt it disappeared only to have it appear again, because you would realize first, there is no self. This is a topic called non-duality, but that's what it gives us, which is beautiful. Yeah. It starts with the fact that there is no self to begin with. Fantastic. Most of us start with the fact, I want to get out of self. When I was 13, that's why I wanted to drink. I didn't know it that way, but I wanted to seem to get out of me. Me was seemingly a very uncomfortable, chaotic place. And so my whole life was really self trying to get out of self. And then all those failures became a great success because I realized I'm not in self. Hallelujah. I saw self as foreign. Yeah, and it's never changed since then. A lot of times when you see something truthfully, it never changes. You're in a state of being convinced at that point, and life doesn't unconvince you. It doesn't. I mean, I've been convinced for years and years, and life has been rolling right along, and it hasn't had the ability to unconvince me, which is amazing, eh? Yeah. So, yeah, first there is no self, then there is a self, then you wish there wasn't a self. You do everything you can, and you get a moment of absence of self only to have it return. which would be a super bummer, but you have a belief or a faith in there is no self. Non-duality can help that be established. Yeah. It's already established because it's the truth, but it can help it to be established here where there's a lot of untruths floating around. Yes. Yeah. So this is a step in that direction, to see what has defeated you and to see the difference between your actions and its actions, because we are very mixed up with that. We're walking around with a lot of guilt and shame that was produced by believing we did shit while we were under the influence. And I came to a conclusion, whatever I did, I would have done to anybody unless you could physically stop me. It had nothing to do with choice. It had to do with being compelled. Yes, yes, driven. And I haven't met a better argument, so here we are.
Thanks, Paul. Hey,
Yeah.
Deanna has her hand up. Deanna, come on in.
Actually, I just wanted to say hi. This
There
is
you
the
go.
first time. Yeah, I just want to say hi. You don't have to convince me of anything. Yeah, but it's like accepting it. I get these tastes of self, and then it's gone. And then I believe I'm back in the constraints of self again, believing. I mean, yeah. So I was sober, clean and sober 8 years. And 2 months ago, I drank for 12 days. Well, okay. I couldn't forgive myself for things I did. I've done umpteen 4th steps and 5th steps. Umpteen. Worked with people. I did all the things. In the first one, 64, right? I checked all the boxes, but I could not forgive myself. There was a couple of things I couldn't forgive myself for. And yet I've been in A Course in Miracles. I know, but I haven't had a sustainable experience, is what it feels like to me, that will really carry me, that will bring it home. And then it's self trying to get out of self. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Yeah.
Yeah, show up, honey, here and see what happens. Yeah. Yes. I have great faith in this vehicle of these meetings. I have great faith in it. That's why we don't add much to it. I don't think you need it unless you do in a specific manner. I believe if you get that inkling that it may not be you, that space between you and it is going to grow. Yeah. I believe recovery progresses, just like they say the disease progresses. I believe recovery progresses. So you get a little bit of an inch and then it just grows. Yeah. Yeah. And humbly, this is how we get captured by the past, is this profound belief that no matter what comes through us, we were the doer of it. And if you have ever needed an example that could liberate you from that stubborn belief, it's fucking unfettered active alcoholism and addiction, because it's so fucking obvious that something did through you what you would have never done by yourself, over and over again. So yes, factually, there is forgiveness readily available. You'll just come around to it, but the facts are in. Yeah, you are not the doer of that which you feel ashamed and guilty for. Yes? And this is a stubborn point. I don't care how much you feel guilty or shame, it doesn't change the fact that you were not the doer of that action. You are accountable for the action because we live in a world that sees us as things. Yeah. So you're going to have, if there was any repercussions there, you make amends. But other than that, after you make the amends, basically, You don't need to shut the door on the past, nor fucking, frequent it, because you've done what you can do. You showed up, made amends, you're accountable, but you're not fucking responsible. Yeah, you were driven to do whatever you did, honey, just like I was driven to do some insane shit. Yeah. And everyone here has been. Yeah. Drop the driver's license and realize you're the car. You were driven. Yeah. Yeah. And now you're being driven by something else. And this is perhaps the better way. The biggest change is the GPS in us. Yeah. So now the GPS, if you're living a sober life, you really have a higher powered GPS. And therefore it's keeping you out of a lot of holes and mistakes and shit like that. And the head has taken a severe blow because that's a huge demotion to that, demoted, because it loved to tell you what to do and see that you would follow it. Now you're not following it anymore. Yes. So you broke its biggest back, which is great. Really. Now it's just, it's like a little dog nipping at your ankle. Yeah. Before it was like a wolf, So yeah. You're not unusual, honey. This happens a lot. People go back to drink from that umbilical cord. It becomes a noose from the past. Yes. The head uses it and it ties you up, and then you fucking drink. Yep. Well, thank you for that share. This is what I mean.
Thanks, Deanna.
In the present, there's freedom. The bondage is from the past, but the past can occupy the present through the faith we have in self. Yeah. And this is what it says. If you see perhaps there's a better way, trust is in both examples. It says, instead of trusting finite self, we're going to trust the infinite. Basically, we are trust or faith. That's what we are. And we have been in a great amount of faith in finite self, and we can show the scars of that. And now we're in an admittance of that defeat, and we're in this surrender of that defeat, and we're in this program. And now there's going to be a migration to trusting the infinite. Yes. It's very clear. Trusting finite self or trusting the infinite. And basically, you're going to be directed and driven just like you were before, but you're going to be directed and driven by a new employer, being all powerful, which the other one isn't. Yes. It's going to take care of us. And what does it say in the book? It gives us only 2 requirements. If you stay close to it, you can't be far from everywhere, right? So you've already fulfilled that, and do its works well. Yeah. How about its works or your works today? All right. The deal contract is signed, set, and delivered. Yeah. This new power, this new employer that you're trusting now, maybe suspiciously, but you're still trusting. Maybe you're sincerely taking a position, but you're going to be established in it soon. Yeah. So now you're trusting the infinite rather than finite self. And you're being driven now by the infinite, just like you were driven by the lower power. But the scenery and the destination and how you travel is much completely different. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. And in most cases, you're not envisioned in the back of a police car by this new power driving us. Yeah, which is a huge win in and of itself. Or yeah. The back of the paramedic ambulance going to the hospital after another overdose. Yeah. I've been driven. I know where it takes you. Yeah. So yeah, here we are. Who says it's not the better way, the older way? Yeah. Lose interest in that and you'll experience the better way. Not a fucking huge, massive propaganda station. It delivers the goods. AA, the program of recovery, delivers the goods. Yeah. So there you go. Anyone else? If not, I'll start saying goodbye, I guess.
We'll see any other hands, Paul.
Yeah, so we're going to do that now. When we do the next non-duality, we'll do it first. There is no mountain, and we'll replace it with self. Yeah. Actually, it's a quite. Thank you, John. That's quite good. I'm gonna riff on that. Yeah, thank you for it. Gary C. Always a pleasure. Barney, nice to meet you, my friend. John K. As always, 1978. Joseph C. Terry Camarillo. Terry's an old timer. He's enjoying the relief from the bondage of self. We got Walter, Kathleen, Smitty, and LAN. I don't know what that is, but all right. Rick Rowe, Toronto. Bill Churchman, the SS Enterprise. The largest lazy boy in the East Coast. Yeah. Roman Mueller, my friend, Germany. Hope to see you soon. We got Miss Volkmann, Germany. Eric Platt, nice to see you from Down Vista. Zoe Banks. Now talk about contrast. Arkansas and Japan. Wow. I've said it. There's nothing more to say. Nina, nice to see you, honey. It looks like you changed the location of your furniture there.
It's exactly the same.
Oh, it is. Oh, you just have it on wide screen, I think.
No, it's exactly the same.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you are smaller. Oh,
That would be a good one.
that's good. The
If you
loss
can
of
make that
interest
happen.
in self has shrunk your size, and I see more of the background.
That would be good.
It is good, yes.
It's very good.
That's right. Oliver, nice to see you from Berlin. I think still in Berlin, Oliver? Yeah. Christine in Kona. Christine has taken a vacation. Now she's back. Nice to see you, Christine.
Mahalo,
iPad,
Paul.
yes. iPad 2, Chris D, Jules on vocals, Fletch. He's going to Germany, Fletch, soon. Stephanie, another phone number. Joseph, my friend in France, yes. We got Martin. Thank you, Martin, for doing such a good job with the schedule. Yes. We got Michael Stacy, and he has a little Michael Stacy. Wow.
Yeah, my granddaughter just came to visit me during the Paul talk. So here's our youngest member to our.
Wow. Well, we'll give him the baptism of zenbitchslap.com. Yes.
Yeah, the youngest member.
There you go.
Oh, happy 4th.
Go your way, my dear. Yes. Martin, Rico Cruz. Nice to see Rico.
Oh, thank you. And John, thank you for your love and service. And Diona, welcome back, babe. Stay a while.
Yes, yes, very good. Mickey, the matriarch of Madeira. Must be cooking there. Dropped down a little here today, which is good. Let's see, I think we have everybody. Hey, thank you so much, man. I love coming here and for all us unreliables, recovery has become the most reliable thing. It's just a very, it's got a sound foundation. It really does. It can withstand all of us idiots and assholes. and keep on cooking. Because it overrides us, doesn't it? Love and tolerance, a lot of people feel, and everyone in that room is judging them and fucking thinking they're fucking idiots. Yeah. But our unique oneness gets overridden by the loving presence, using our group conscience to express itself. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Fucking mind-boggling. So your petty views doesn't affect the person who really needs to get what we have. So I'm always surprised when I'm sitting at a meeting and the person that's new goes, "Oh, I feel so accepted here," and shit like that. Wow, not by me, obviously, but something overrode me and the me sitting next to me and the me sitting next to them. And they feel that love and tolerance. That's our code. Yeah. So the we definitely can become actually the expression you call me. That which hides in the we can be the expression that you call me. Pretty cool. Yeah, very cool. All right, thank you. See you soon.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Rick Rowe, I love you, man.
Thanks, Paul.
Love you more.
Thanks, Paul.
Hey, Rico. Hey, Rico.